The portfolio that is right for a 40-year-old will actively hurt a 60-year-old, and one that is protected at a 60-year-old will actively hurt a 40-year-old, costing them possibly millions of dollars of growth. Now, conventional wisdom says that someone my age should start introducing bonds into my portfolio, start shifting into stability, reducing the risk in the portfolio, and begin gliding into that path of retirement. Now, my portfolio is 100% equities and 0 bonds. And today, I want to give you the exact ETF allocation for each decade. We are looking at our 40s, our 50s, and our 60s, and what makes them up and why they are completely different. Because should you follow conventional wisdom, adding those bonds in the portfolio, it could definitely cost you some of that real compounding. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, before we look at those specific allocations and what changes within these 3 portfolios, your time horizon determines your risk capacity. Anyone that is 30 versus being 60 is going to have an entirely different allocation in their portfolio. It is not the personality. It is not how you feel about volatility in the market. Your actual mathematical time horizon can make a really big difference. If you look at a 40-year-old with 25 years until retirement, you have 25 years available of compounding. Every historical bear market, including the 2008 financial crisis, which dropped the market by 56%, had fully recovered within the next 5 years. If I have a 25-year time horizon, that is 5 potential full crashes in the market that you're going to see an entire recovery or even a much higher growth factor by the time you actually need this money. Volatility is not the threat here. It is the opportunity to buy a lot more of your ETFs and stock up when the price is really low. A 65-year-old with a retirement that may last 30 years is going to be looking at completely different math. They need income now. They can't wait the next 5 years for a bear market to recover before taking their withdrawal. If something happens like 2008, where we see a 56% decline in the market, and during that time they are forced to sell or take distributions out of there just to cover the living expenses, this can create a domino effect with a sequence of return risks that permanently impair or absolutely just crush the portfolio. Different time horizon, very different threat profile, different portfolio in the entireties. Now, when you're in your 40s, this is the peak of the accumulation phase. You're looking at 20 to 25 years of compounding. This is the decade where allocation decisions are going to make and break it when it comes to the largest long-term capital in really decades that we've seen within the life cycle of the next 20 years. Getting this wrong and shifting too early into bonds could cost more wealth than any other single decision that you've made during your entire investing career. My allocation is 100% equities, no bonds, and this is more aggressive than conventional wisdom, including my financial advisor tells me, and I want to explain why I have this defensible for my situation and how it could be defensible for yours. Just a quick rundown, the SPMO is 30%. Momentum factor, absolutely love it. The VOO, 20%. This is going to be our foundation. QQQM sitting at 20%. We are looking at pure growth within the NASDAQ. SMH at 50%. That is really the semiconductor thesis and the conviction in there. And the SOXQ at 5%. And looking at the SCHD and of course the QQQM, all 5%. Those are the small satellite positions. Now, why no bonds? I've gotten this question before and I want to answer it because there are 3 specific reasons. First one, my time horizon can absorb volatility in the market. When I start looking at 25 years of investing, that means I have the potential of 5 potential bear market cycles if I need this money or by the time I need this money, and even getting to that pivotal age of 65 if I need this money at that time. Bonds, of course, reduce volatility, but they also reduce risk and they reduce volatility on a 25-year time horizon. Don't really need it. Second one, my income is stable. I am not dependent on this portfolio for my living expenses. If the market dropped 20, 30, 40% tomorrow, I don't need to sell a single share. We've talked about the videos where I'm never selling at all. Gonna see if it rings true because I wanna hold to it. And never selling rule is because I'm not forced to sell. There's no scenario that I see out there where I would have to sell my portfolio or come up with additional money outside of what we already have. Third, I don't want an average size portfolio during retirement. I want a large one at an 18% blended annual return over the last 5 years. We want to double this portfolio every 4 to 5 years, and bonds do not double every 4 years under any situation. So then the question comes, when should a 40-something have bonds? If your job is at risk or you have less than 6 months of those savings expenses, some bond allocation might provide you an emergency buffer without selling the equities that you carry at a loss, or if the market is in a downturn, at a very significant loss. If you need the money within 10 years for a specific thing, could be buying a house, a child's education, possibly a major life expense you know is coming up, equity only might be too volatile during that time if you can't sleep through a 30% downturn. And honestly, that assessment, and if you do sell when we see the market down, a 10-20% bond allocation can help your equity stay invested, because you know you can sell the bonds if you need to raise capital. And of course, bonds are not wrong for everyone in their 40 years old. It is really proven, and depending on your specific situation, depending on your income stability, the time horizon, the behavioral track record since 2020 has done incredibly well. Then we get into the 50s. At 50s, this is considered the transition decade. You still have about 10 or 15 years of compounding ahead. You're not going to abandon equities in the entirety. That would be an absolute detrimental mistake. And for me personally, even during this time, it's still going to be a very, very strong growth focus. But retirement is now closing in, and it might be a sequence of risk returns start to become real. Because again, if we use that 56% portfolio decline at 58, that only gives you 7 years to really get and make that out of the bull market before you start at the distribution. It's not the same math as a 40-year-old would be looking at. So adjusting the portfolio in about probably 10 to 12 years, looking at carrying the VOO and the QQM, putting a little bit more into the VOO, shifting a little bit out of the tech sector, but still keeping invested. So even for the portfolio, kind of the allocation I threw together, VOO 35%, QQQM at 15%, SPMO at 10. So right there, we're looking at a pretty decent amount of the portfolio, still looking to grow and build out there, maybe adding in a little bit more of an SCHD, possibly adding in some bonds, the BND, or looking at something that is going to be the income based, and then looking at the SMH, still carrying that again into retirement. So looking at this portfolio in its entirety, probably looking at roughly 60%, depending on the allocation, exactly where I'm at, that I still want to keep into equities in its entirety as we start making a little bit of a shift into income. And again, this is specifically going to make a big difference if the income is needed or allocated to any point where my wife and I are looking at early retirement or replacing our income in its entirety. Now, the specific changes in here, SPMO definitely dropping a little bit from 30% to probably 10 or 15. Momentum crashes can be very real, and looking at a 30% drawdown in there can be a very highly volatile position. When you look at the SMH, again, semiconductors, probably taking that a little bit because they have a really violent downturn if it is a pulled back market. 7-year recovery window might not be enough if we're at here. SCHD, again, that demand for income starts rising. The floor income starts to matter when we're looking about 5 to 10 years out in retirement. And of course, if bonds do enter the picture versus having the income with ETFs, that can protect you against inflation, but it can also give you a pool of capital if it is needed. That way, if there is any moment during a bear market or a downturn, I do not have to sell any of my equities. I can actually rely on holding on some of those bonds and selling those bonds. But of course, I am looking and focused on producing income and buying income producing assets like the SCHD that really become the anchor of a portfolio, which takes us to the 60 plus portfolio. This is fundamentally doing a different job. This is getting almost out of the accumulation phase, but I would take it with caution, because I would say probably 20, 40, maybe even 50% of that portfolio, if you do not need the income, it is going to be a higher percentage, because we are not looking at distributions where we don't need them. If we need the cash, if we can't raise enough income through something like the SCHD, the QQQI, the JEPI, covered called ETFs, things of that nature, this is about really ensuring that you have enough income and preservation of capital to last those last 20 to 30 years of retirement without running out. So if we're looking at really a 60 plus ETF portfolio, still having roughly 30 in that VOO, possibly looking in some VIG, maybe 10 or 15%. Same with the SCHD, keeping bonds at a maximum, even at this point, about 20% of a portfolio. Looking at possibly having some cash equivalents. Again, looking at a QQQI, maybe 5 to 10%, maybe a JEPI at 5 to 10%. So you can see really the shift from 40 to 50 to 60, that you're kind of moving into a little bit more income. Now, 3 things about the 60 plus portfolio that people misunderstand. First, You're going to need equities. You're going to need growth. If you sell out of it into its entirety, it is going to be detrimental, because if you're in retirement for 30 years, your last withdrawal might be 30 years from now. The money you spend during 25 to 30 years of retirement still needs to compound for the next 25 years. If you're taking money out of the equities and putting it into something like bonds or CDs, it means it is not going to grow for the next 25 to 30 years that you need it to. We are looking at 50 to 60% full equity investments, not super aggressive if you don't have to, but making sure the portfolio is going to grow with that 30-year time horizon. Now, the second, the cash equivalent position, that is the never sell buffer, where if we move some of the portfolio, maybe 5, 10, 15%, covering a year or two of living expenses in the entirety, whether it's in a money market, a high yield savings account, something of that nature, you can always have money on the side that is going to be the pool where you're drawing without selling bonds, without selling equities. You don't need to sell everything. If the position goes down, you're okay because you're not selling it. If the position booms, boom, you can cover those expenses because you have cash on the side. Now, of course, SCHD is going to cover and help cover those expenses when you start getting in a larger portfolio. Something like the QQQI, this is where it comes at a 14% return, even though I know it is covered called. And looking at some of these, this is where it makes sense. Now, on last Wednesday, I actually rejected. I do not own the QQQI because honestly, it doesn't make sense in the accumulation phase. Absolutely makes sense in a retirement phase where you have many years of a drawdown and you need not just the return, but you need the income that is driven in there, making sure that you're covering it. Now, of course, this is the same product, the same 14% yield. This is the choice at 65. This is absolutely the wrong choice when it comes to 45. Now, of course, guys, 3 different portfolios, 1 principal. Your time horizon will really depend on the risk capacity you're in there. In the 40s, maximizing compounding, 100% equity in the portfolio. You don't need income for a majority of people at this point. In the 50s, you're starting to move and transition a little bit more into retirement, maybe reducing some of the higher volatility with some of the satellite positions, build that income floor, possibly putting bonds into the portfolio at this point. Not going to be the return driver in there, not going to be the primary income. In 60, the jobs can change completely. Again, this is going to be dependent on your need for income. Income replaces growth as the primary objective, but like we said before, 40 to 60% of that portfolio to really carry you through all of retirement, because if you have a 30-year retirement, I don't want you to run out of money before you actually get there. And one thing that is same across all 3 of these, the foundation for these has always been and still will always be the VOO. At every age, when you start looking at the S&P 500, the 0.03 per year, really having it as cheap as it is with the allocations, everything else is going to change, and the foundation within a portfolio never moves, and that's exactly why we call the VOO the foundation of the portfolio in the entirety. Now, of course, guys, drop a comment down below. Let me know what decade you're in. Are you in your 30s, your 40s, 50s, 60s? How does your current portfolio match the framework that we are talking about? Is it time to make a change? Is it time to make an adjustment? I read every single comment and I will reply to them. Subscribe if I'm giving you a clearer picture about the financial portfolio and what you need to look at, and I'll catch you in the next video.